Yerushalmi Challah. The article is edition with Daf Yud Rav. At the quote from the Mishnah, the second line, which is in the Vilna and Vav Amar Aleph. There's also a quote from the Mishnah about 8 lines down. So, it said in our Mishnah that it's potter, of course, from Meisers, but it's Chayiv and Challah. So, question is, what's the Chiddush? Amora says, Rabbi Zira, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chama, Bar Ukva, Rabbi Hillel, Ben Halis, Mata Ba B'Shem, Rabbi Yehuda. He was inclined to say that, I guess he thought that he remembered it in the name Rabbi Yehuda. The Min Hadah. So the Min Hadah is an interesting phrase. From the fact that it says it here in the Mishnah, there must be a Chiddush. Because if we're talking about that, it's a regular case where it's just to have Ma'aser Sheni which you redeemed. It's a regular chulin. Of course, it's a Chayiv Challah. So perhaps it's talking about when you took a Ma'aser Sheni, similar to what you said by Ma'aser Rishon and Chumas Ma'aser, when you took the Ma'aser Sheni in the stalks, the Ma'aser Sheni is still exempt from Ma'aser, meaning from Shuma G'dayla, and from Ma'aser Rishon, nevertheless it's Chayiv Challah. So again, because otherwise, what's the Chiddush? So the Gemara says, again, the Minadah, Ma'aser Sheni Shigdim B'Shibolim, it must be talking about here the Ma'aser which we took off well with still stalks, and you have the Pater from Shuma G'dayla, Pater from Ma'aser. So our Mishnah means the Pater from Shuma G'dayla. Rabbi Yonah wanted to say, Command Amar Eino K'Nechasav. So talking about perhaps that would say Ma'aser Sheni which you took off in the stalks Pater from Shuma G'dayla. That's only according to the opinion of what says the Ma'aser Sheni is Mammon Gavoa, and it's like Hektish. So since at the time of the Chiyuv Chumas Maisus, which is the time of Ruach, which comes after this in the stalks, the person was proved to belong to Hektish because already made into Ma'aser Sheni. So that's it's part from Maisus. Like we know, the Goncha is Chayiv, and not the Gan Hektish. Baran Commander can Chasav Chayiv. But according to opinion holds the Ma'aser Sheni is Mammon Hediot. So it's just regular. It's not chulin, obviously, but it should be similar to chulin because it has own owner, and there's no exemption as it would be for hektish. So therefore, the Ma'aser Sheni which he did with Shoboin would be chayiv, still in Shuma G'dayla. So Amar Le, so Rabbi who's responding here? I guess Rabbi Zira is replying to Rabbi Yonah. I also want to say this. However, as if it says here, Baram. However, having Ma'aser Sheni Hoil v'Chol HaMamoed Shulchas of Chayiv Avi Pli. Now here the Gra changes the Girsa, Yerushalmi as well. So the Girsa over here should be having Ma'aser Rishon Hoil v'Chol HaMamoed Shulchas. But the flaw in your theory is that since Ma'aser Rishon, everybody agrees Mammon Hediot, right? And when it's Hikdimo B'Shibolin, when you're Hikdimo B'Shibolin, it's a machlekes. We have machlekes before, where the Ma'aser Rishon is potter, and from every yesterday, if it's potter from Shuma G'dayla or not. No, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. So the before everybody agreed that Ma'aser Rishon Shigdimo B'Shibolin is potter from Shuma. So if you're going to set up the Ma'aser Sheni, it depends on whether it's Mammon Hektish, Mammon Hediot. That argues what we said before. Because we said, Ma'aser Rishon, everybody agrees it's Mammon Hediot. And nevertheless, Hikdim B'Shimon is part from Shuma G'dayla. So if you're going to say that Ma'aser Sheni would only be part of considered to be Mammon Gavoa, that clashes with what we learned previously. So actually, the way to read this is, not that there was machlokes yesterday, everybody held it was a potter, but rather, but having Ma'aser Rishon, Chal Mamoed Shulchas of Chayiv, have a pligehu, then you would be arguing. This would be arguing. That's your assumption. That's imon gavon, or it'd be potter. If Shekdim b'shibolin, we're arguing on what we say yesterday. The Ma'aser Rishon Shekdim b'shibolin is potter, even though it's Mammon Hediot. Now I'm going here with Levi Yerushalmi, who goes with this change of gears according to the Gra. The change of gears before to Ma'aser, from Ma'aser Shein to Ma'aser Rishon. As a result of that change of gears, also we're deviating from the pshat the art school gives in the text, the pshat the art, and going according to the pshat that the art school gives in the chilufik yosos biurim in the notes. So and we come up. It's an interesting thing which comes up here. Yesterday we didn't see anybody who argues on the Ma'aser Rishon Shekdim b'shibolin was potter from Truma. But according to the Gra's understanding, this Gemara, Ma'aser Rishon, Ma'aser Sheni have to have the same halacha. So therefore, though if you have a man d'amar, the Ma'aser Sheni Shekdim b'shibolin is chayiv in Truma, also Ma'aser Rishon Shekdim b'shibolin is chayiv in Truma. And the Gra holds that Rabbi Yoin and Rabbi Zira argue on Reish Lakish. Reish Lakish is the one who said yesterday, and other Amoraim, Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Rabbi Yoin as well, gave a Josh as well, but I guess he's not sure about it. Or maybe he goes to both sides. But in any event, the Gemara is saying, I don't know, it's interesting. I wonder which way Rabbi Yoin would go. Maybe because yesterday the Rash will change the gears from Rabbi Yossi to Rabbi Yonah, and now we have Rabbi on the other side. Okay, I'm not sure, but the point is like this: that Reish Lakish is the one who said Ma'aser Rishon Shekdim b'shibolin is part from Truma. Nobody argued. So now Gemara says Man Amar Chayev. There is a man d'amar, presumably Rabbi Zira or something like that, or Rabbi Yonah going to this distinction would hold only if Ma'aser Sheni is Mon Gavo would be potter from, if it's Hikdim B'Shibolin would be potter from Truma. So the man holds Chayev Afilu Truma Shabo Chayeves. So the person says Ma'aser Rishon Shekdim B'Shibolin is Chayev B'Truma G'dayla. You have to take off Truma even on the part you took off Truma's Ma'aser on. Even on the part you took off as Truma's Ma'aser, sorry. Because that Truma's Meiser, also before it became Truma's Meiser, was subject to Truma Gedola. So if you have to take up Truma Gedola on the part, you made Truma's Meiser. Again, those who argue Reish Lakish and say that Meiser Shekdim b'shibolin is chayev, and still in Truma Gedola, have to take Truma Gedola even of the part that you now made, you jumped the gun and made Truma's Meiser. Uman Amar Potter, the man who shows Potter, the Meiser Sheni Shekdim b'shibolin, Ma'aser Rishon Shekdim b'shibolin is potter from Truma, so Truma G'dayla, and the even the Chulin, in other words, the Ma'aser Rishon part that which did not become Truma's Ma'aser, that 10% is also potter from Truma. Okay, the 9%. Is Patim Truma. So according to Man Damar, that it's Chayev, it's even at 1% which becomes Truma's Ma'aser, has to have Truma Gedola separated corresponding to it. In other words, Pater, even the 9%, which remains Ma'aser Rishon, and not Truma's Ma'aser, it's also Patim Truma Gedola. Okay, Man Damar Chayev. The opinion who holds that your Chayev, Ma'aser Rishon, or Ma'aser Sheni, Shekdim b'shibolin, is Chayev in Truma. Truma, it's Truma's Meiser, Mokam Acher. So you made the entire, let's say you took your entire Meiser Rishon you just set aside from the Shibolim, and you made over Truma's Meiser, Mokam Acher. Mat Avidle. What's its status now? Begodish Nidma or Be'isr Nidma? Is it like a Godish, a pile which became the Meduma, or like a dough which became Meduma? So the Levi Yerushalmi doesn't change the Girsa here. I don't know why he doesn't change the Girsa. It's a little bit of a pellet because only with the Gra, and the Gra does change the Girsa. Excuse me. The Gra changes the Girsa from Mad Avila Kegadish Shanitma, the Isha Shanitma, to Mad Avila Kegadish Shanitma, or, it's not putting the word but, or Ketevel. Meaning, okay, you have now this Ma'aser Rishon, which you want to use in order to take Trumas Meiser on on something else, right? So if you're going to say this is Chayiv still in Truma, right? So then, what's its status? Can it be this Meiser Rishon which is still Chayiv in Truma? Okay, according to the Mount right that Meiser Rishon Shekdimo b'Shibolin is Chayiv in Truma. Okay, so now can you use this? So you made this Trumas. You want to make this Trumas Meiser on something else? What's its status? Can it be used? Is it as if truma is mixed in? It's like meduma, and therefore you can't use it to take off, but then make something else. Use the trumas ma'aser something else, because there's truma mixed in on account of the chi of truma, which still devolves upon it. The way the Gra, I'm going to read you the way the Gra puts it, which is very succinct. He says, it's like a gadish which has some truma mixed in, and you can't take off truma of somewhere else. Or ketevel, peishan k'moshu tevel truma gedola. It's just like any other tevel, where truma gedola is not taken off. So you can use it for makam acher. You'll take off your truma gedola somewhere else, and you'll use this to take off to be trumas ma'aser or something else. Again, you'll take off your truma gedola on this from elsewhere, and you'll use all of this ma'aser rishon to become truma gedola, trumas ma'aser somewhere else. So do I say, because the chi of truma still attaches to it, it's considered to be like meduma, and you can't use it for taking off trumas ma'aser and something else? Or do I say, no, it's not like meduma, it's like just plain tevel, and therefore you can use it for take off the truma gedola from elsewhere in this, and therefore you can still use it for trumas ma'aser for something else. I don't think that the Gemara answers this question. Yeah, the Yerushalmi goes to a totally different shot here. Here's what Reb Chaim does. Let's see what Reb Chaim does. Okay, I looked up Reb Chaim. It's very complicated. But I will share with you what the Shari Teres Eretz Yisrael says. He says, so he keeps the Girsa as in front of us, not like the Gra, but in the same Mahalach as the Gra. So I guess Leib Yerushalmi was justified based on Shari Teres Yisrael. Who doesn't quote, of course. But he says that meaning that he made all this ma'aser rishon, from which he has to take off truma gedola, trumas ma'aser, something else, is gadish nidma, meaning a pile of tevel, which is tevel, the truma and ma'aser, in which truma got mixed up, and he made this entire pile still truma and somewhere else. Well, it's all truma except for the sheer truma got mixed up in it, obviously, which doesn't exempt whatever you try to use it to exempt, because it was already truma previously. So here too, if you made this ma'aser rishon, trumas ma'aser or something else, whatever you did was good, except for the part which should have been truma gedola. This is basically what we said. Or as a ke'isush nidma, meaning that its din is like a dough, which came meduma, which is exempt from challah, as it's going to be later on going to see in Mishnah Dalet. And here too, this ma'aser rishon, which has truma gedola, a chi of truma gedola mixed into it, is potter from trumas ma'aser. You can't make a trumas ma'aser makam acher. It's very difficult. I think we should go with the cross girsa. Or is it like tevel, and therefore you can use it straight up, like we said before. Okay, so Rabbi Yochanan Anabisa. So Rabbi Yochanan said, I asked the following question, which we're about to see. Yerushalmi Anabisa. And Yesha says, I asked the following question. Now, the fact that the question appears is a bit of a riot to the Gra. It sounds like the question which you had a moment ago kind of jumped the gun, and it was really a reference to this it kind of like slipped in as a reference, like a Mutei Shtamit from the following sugya. But okay, not sure if yes or no. So the question is, what's the between a Gadish in which Truma fell less than 100? You have to take Truma, so it's not Bata, that you have to take Truma Gedola according to the chelik of tevel, right? Which is there's obviously nothing is there's no tour of any sort, and the Easter Shnidma, then an Easter Shnidma, where of course we just said part from Challah. So was interesting when Truma fell into a Gedish, that you say that, well, you just make the cheshbon, figure out what you're chayiv. Whereas when you have a Isa, which Truma which fell, which is chayiv mechal, but all of a sudden it doesn't not chayiv mechal anymore because Truma fell into it. So Gadish Nidma, and this is the part of the question, Adam Mechayiv, instead of take off Trumas and Maisers. Isa Shnidma, Adam Abdurah, says Pati, don't take a Challah. So what's the difference? Rabbi Tanchuma B'Shem Rav Huna said, Gadish Shnidma, if you have a pile of tabo in which Truma fell in, so add, the gears should be here, according to the Gra, and evidently also similar to the Rasiril. Gadish Nidma ad shelo nidma, if before it became before it was nidma, before the truma fell in. Over v'hishimenu truma hareze truma. Gadish, even though it's not chai b'truma until miruach, and this Gadish is before miruach. Nevertheless, if you took off truma at that point in time, so the evidence truma is truma. So there already is a chi of truma which devolved upon it, and that doesn't fall off on account of the dimua. So other vivish means, you did it. It's not yet the time. You should wait to miruach. But if you did that time, it's truma. So it should be again avar v'hifrish men truma harei zeh truma. Isa not ein truma. Isa harei truma. Isa shinidma, and Isa, which was became meduma, achelo nidma, before it became meduma. Avrish made a challah, ain't a challah. The truma found when it was still flour, before the dough was kneaded. At that point, you can't take off challah. So before the chi of challah devolved upon it, that fell in. So the tzina tamar mafish chalas kemach ain't a challah. And if you give it to a kohen, the gez will be our kohen. So therefore, that's why it exempts from challah, because it messed it up before it ever came to shas chiyuv. Okay, so next part of the mission said a moiser omer, leftover which was not part of the korban omer, is part of trumas ma'aser, from trumas ma'aser, so ma'aser and Rabbi Akiva. Says the Mishnah, says our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Akiva, who holds in menachas tav samach vav, and it's chayiv in ma'aserus. Because the money hektish pays for the katzir or omer is only for whatever it requires for the korban, and the glory milsim mafred. This moiser was miruach really of hediot, never miruach hediot. Hektish is chayv b'maiserus, so he's mechayv chayv maiserus, not like our Mishnah. Utful shevi shloivi shlish is yet not chayv and chumas maiser, could be chayv and challah. Ma taima derabanin. So the question is, what's the logic of the because it says Rabbi Lez says in Mishnah Rabbi Lez met for shlevi shlish p'tur min challah. So what's the large rabbanon who are sorry, yeah. Chachamim say it's tefillah shlevi shlish p'tur from my. Everybody else is p'tur from my. So Lez it says tefillah shlevi shlish is also p'tur from the challah. So my time Rabban, what's the large rabbanon who holds that tefillah shlevi shlish is chayv in challah? I skip. Yeah, my time Rabbanon Mechayiv. Nemar lechem Pesach, nemar lechem Challah. It says lechem by Pesach, it says lechem Challah. Ma lechem shemar Pesach. Dover shubali de matzah v'chometz. So which eventually come to matzah v'chometz. Av lechem shemar nemar b'Challah. Dover shubali de matzah v'chometz. That's eventually. Ma lechem shemar Pesach. Anything. Dover shubali de matzah v'chometz, which includes grain if it's not a third. So af lechem shemar Challah. Dover shubali de matzah v'chometz. So it could be tefillah shlevi shlish also could become matzah chametz. So therefore, it's chayv mechallah. My time to Rabbi Lezer. So what's the logic of the Rabbi Lezer? Kichumas goren came to Musa. as is the status of Trumas Goren, so too is the status of the Truma of Challah. Ma Trumas Goren Shevi Shlish. It has to be from food which has become a third grown, grain third grown. Avzumi Per Shevi Shlish, so to Challah from Per Shevi Shlish. So Leisei Rabbi, so when I ask, for Leisei Rabbi Lezer Lechem, does Rabbi Lezer not hold of Xer Shava of Lechem? In other words, the Lechem, like we say, says before, it says Lechem my Pesach, Lechem Oini, and Varm Design, it says Lechem my Challah, Lechem Oretz, my Migvat, that's what we test. So, does he not hold of this Xer Shava? So, Ashkech Time Shem Lezer, Eina Chayeves B'Challah, Ve'eina Dam Yitzah B'Yidei Chavaso, B'Pesach. Yeah, he does hold of it. He holds Yitakanat Yitzeh Matzah with this with the grain which hasn't come to a third of its growth. I guess it doesn't come to the Chimutz Gomer, it does come to the Matzah Gomer. So the Gemara then asks, Ma'u Shechem Elechshem Mishum Chodesh. What according to Rabbi Lezer, a grain which hasn't grown a third, is there issue of Chodesh on it or not? Rabbi Yehuda, this Eksiv Lechem Koliv Kamel Lo Sochlu. It says bread and toast and soft grain you shouldn't eat before you bring the korban omer. If you're chayiv on its koli, on its toast, which you dry in the oven, you're chayiv on lechem shelo mishum chodesh. And since you're chayiv on the koli, even before it's maybe shlish, as koli, not as lechem, but it's chayiv as koli on chodesh. So the Yechaim on its lechem, Eschchaim v'kosher mishum chodesh, Eschchaim v'kosher mishum chodesh, Eschchaim v'lechem mishum chodesh, and Eschchaim v'kosher mishum chodesh, Ein chayovin al lechem shelo mishum chodesh. So, but here, since you can't make from a koli, so therefore it is chayav in chodesh as well. I think that brings us substantially into Yurav Hamrav, and we went a long time today, so we'll stop here for today.